Hey guys, Smitty here. Thanks for tuning in and welcome back. Today we are back in Valheim, and today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on how to make 5 different decorative siege weapons. For those of you who are familiar with my channel, you may have seen that I utilized these designs to decorate my recent castle siege build. But today I'm going to be taking you guys step by step to show you how I build them, and also providing a list of materials for those of you who are strictly survival players. Without further ado, grab a snack, grab a drink, let's get right into it. Alright, so we'll start with the Trebuchet. So the thing with the Trebuchet, the first thing that you want to start out with is actually these wood iron poles. This is because you need to establish ground contact with them so it can support the rest of the structure. So we'll put that there, and then we'll start making the base. And for the base, what you want to do is just like a 4x2. So 2 across, 4 long. That'll be the base of the Trebuchet. We'll put another iron pole here on the other side. We see that it's blue, which means it's got ground contact and is supported. And we'll put that 2 up for each side. Then we'll take some 45-degree beams, bring that to the meeting point here at the top of those iron poles. Just like that. And then we will cap them with the 45-degree wood cross pieces. And I also like to just cover these up just so it's a little bit more homogeneous with materials. Then I also like to just bring some cross beams here. Just makes it look a little more nice and supported. Makes it feel a little bit more sturdy. And then we're going to take a 4-meter log beam, and we're going to place it across right here. So this is going to be the axes of like the lever for the active trebuchet. From here, we're going to put 4 1-meter beams right across it, right on top of that core wood beam. And then for this version, we're going to use the 26-degree beams. We're going to put it in this first snapping point here on each side, and it's going to be perpendicular to this beam at first, and then we're going to rotate in 1 inward on each side. So we're going to kind of have this little bowed shape. And so this is important because this creates our snapping points from which we can create our lever. So we're going to have 2 adjacent beams that angle down this way. It'll be 1, 2 down to this axis. And then we'll just do 1 more. And so this is where our weights are going to be, the ones that would hypothetically kind of propel our projectile. So what I do is I utilize the reinforced chests for this. So what I want to do here is I put the 1-meter wood beams on this like lever, but I connect it to like the opposite beam here. So connecting it that way. And then the other side, put it that way, so that it doesn't stick out too much, but it does still protrude a little bit from each one of these levers. Then I gotta create a platform so that we can ultimately place our reinforced chests here. I'll place one there, and I'll place another one there. And it should be supported just to kind of float there, so long as it is touching these beams. So now we got to finish off the rest of the lever here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 2 more pieces of the 26-degree beams. And then we're going to, again, attach just to the opposite beam each side, just so that we have a little bit of it sticking out each way. And then under here, we're going to place a hanging brazier. And so that's going to be like our projectiles, essentially. So it's kind of cool because since it is on fire, it kind of gives the idea that you're launching maybe fiery stones or something like that. And then finally, and this is maybe a bit more of an optional part of this design. But what I like to do is use a grinding wheel right about here, and then also place a log beam right in the end here, just to give the idea that maybe this is how you crank down the trebuchet and kind of prime it to be launched. Alright, yeah, so this is the trebuchet design. So we actually just did it with the 26-degree beams, but the nice thing about this design is that you can actually build it with the 45-degree beams or just the flat beams if you want to show different phases of the firing sequence. So you can do some variation if you build a couple of them. I use a lot of these in my Castle Siege build, but yeah, nice and simple, and I think it looks believable. Alright, so our next design is going to be just a smaller, more mobile catapult. So whereas the trebuchet is more of a stationary piece of siege equipment, the catapult is meant to be, again, more mobile, that you can maybe push it around. So it is going to be smaller, but what we'll start out with is just a wood beam. What we're going to do is stack it up just so it's a little bit off the ground like that. And then I'm going to take the 1-meter beams and we're going to go 4 meters across on each side. And then bring it together here. And then I will just also have another beam just below, just so it's supported. So from here, this will be the front of the catapult. We're gonna build just like a little rectangle structure on the top here. And this is meant to be kind of the stopper, so the actual lever and axle of the catapult is going to be here. The idea is that if it gets launched up, this would stop it and then launch the rocks. So put that there. Put in some floors here. So what I'll also do here, just so I can place my axle with my core wood the way where I want it, is I will place just a custom wood beam here, just temporarily, so that I can custom place my core log beam here. And that is what's going to attach my actual lever. Then we will also fill in the bottom here just with some floor. And then we are going to custom place the log beam just like midpoint on our axle. So right about there will work. And then we got to put on where our like stone would go, kind of like the holder on the mechanism. So we'll just use a wood floor there, and then we will go around it with some log beams. What I also like to do here is I'll put some item stands on each side here. And then I'll place some bucklers. So a couple bronze bucklers. So a buckler there. Buckler there. So then from here, what I also like to do, because we did say that this is meant to be a mobile catapult, I have to make the suggestion of wheels at the bottom here. So I will place 4 more item stands on each one of these corners. And then you can choose whatever shields you want to make the wheels. I am just going to choose the banded shields just because I think they look nice, but you just need to choose any round shield for this. But I'll go ahead and place these all the way around. So to that extent, it does look mobile. And then finally, again, this is kind of an optional piece because obviously the sharpening stone might be kind of hard to get, but I like to place, again, this grinding wheel just because it feels like some kind of a launch mechanism. Like maybe you would crank it up with this and then release it with that. So there is the catapult design. Again, pretty simple, pretty compact. Another thing that you could also do if you have resources is you could just put like a pile of stone on it just to make it seem like these would be the actual projectiles. But this is optional. Just put the stones on there. Maybe it would be launching those stones or something like that. So, but yeah, so there's the catapult design. Compact, pretty clearly catapult, and I think it would make a nice decoration any kind of castle or siege that you're creating in your own worlds. Alright, so next we'll do the heavy ballista. So this is basically just like a bow on steroids. So what we'll do for this is we'll start out with a 2-meter wood beam, and then we'll just custom place it right on top of each other like that. And that's just to get the height that we want. And then I'm gonna put some poles that connect to this second one on top. And then I'll break that one. And then I want to create this rectangle right there. So then from here, I'm going to place another just 2-meter wood beam right on top of this one. And so this is actually where we're going to create the bow structure from. So from there, we're going to take snapping points of these two, and we're just going to rotate 1 click in, 1 click in again, and we'll do 2 pieces to create that bowed look for the ballista. We'll do that on each side. As we can see, that will be our actual bow. Then from here, we're going to snap from this first beam, angle in once on each side, and that will create this perpendicular snapping point on each one. And we're going to go back 2 more, so 1, 2, 3 total in length. And then to continue creating the body, we're going to take the 26-degree angled wood beams, go from this top snapping point, angle in on each side to give it that kind of look. And then we are going to raise the body of this just a little bit. This is going to require some custom placing, but what I'm looking for is so it lines up with this beam perfectly in terms of the height. And I want to make sure that it covers up this gap in the middle, so maybe like here. And then we'll do the same thing on this side, just so it looks about even. And I want to make sure that it looks identical in each side of these beams, and it looks like it cuts in just about the same, so I'm fine with that. And then we will go back another space with 2 meters, and then we'll transition to 1-meter beams right here. So what I will also do then is place some wood poles back here just to support it. But that is essentially the body of the ballista. Now we want to work on the actual launch mechanism. So what I do here is I just custom place a log beam, and then I use the grinding wheel again to make it look like a crank or some kind of launching mechanism. And then on the other side, I place just like a buckler here. So with that, the body is complete. What we now want to do is try to create a bolt. So for the bolt, what I do, and you guys can experiment around with this, but I like to use just the wood iron beams, just because I feel like that distinguishes it a little bit from the rest of the wood for the body of the ballista. And then for the actual tip of the bolt, I use 3 swords that are kind of stacked on each other, just to make it feel a little more substantial. I have experimented with putting like spears and stuff at the end, and I don't know, it just didn't quite give the same like substantial feel to the tip of the bolt. So I choose 3 swords. I just put bronze swords here, but you can choose whatever you want, and yeah, that's how I like to do the bolts. But I guess lastly, just so I don't forget, I also like to put a couple of holes here on the end. And I rotate them just so instead of having them just be like parallel with the beams, I'll rotate them just so that they're a little bit more offset with the actual bow. And then I will also put some at the front here. This almost as like a crosshairs. I feel like this would help whatever siege engineers that were maybe launching this ballista. Might help them aim, right? So they look down the crosshairs like this. So there is the design for the heavy ballista. So much like the Trebuchet, this is heavier piece of equipment that may have to be built on the spot, doesn't have wheels, and probably not super mobile, but definitely utilized in maybe a siege or defense of a castle. Alright, so the next design will be kind of an iteration of the heavy ballista, but now we will make a light ballista. So much like the Trebuchet has a catapult that's more mobile, this will be a more mobile version of the ballista. So what we'll do here is we'll start with 1 meter beam, so it's be constructed pretty similar, but we'll just stack it up on top here. Use the poles, snap to that second one, remove the one underneath, and then create similar box structure on top, and then also place a beam right in the middle there, and then that's from where we will actually do the bow. And so we'll do 2 pieces of the single meter beams, give that bowed look. And then for this one, we're just going to start with the body heading straight out. So we'll use 1 meter beams. In total, we'll go 3 meters out. What we will also do is custom place some beams here, because this is where the bolt will have to lie. And then what I also like to do for this one is put the grinding wheel on the inside right here to make it feel like the ballista is being cranked from that wheel. So then I'll just close it up here, another beam. And again, because we want this one to feel more mobile, we want to add some wheels, so I will just go ahead and add 4 item stands here. And again, you can choose whatever round shield you want. I like to use the banded shield just because those look like proper wheels. And then yeah, that'll make it feel much more mobile of a design. Then from here, what I do for the bolt is I just place a spear right here at the top of the ballista. So I don't know, whatever spear you want, maybe the bronze spear as well. And so that will be our ballista bolt right on the inside. So much more compact design, but I think it works really well. Looks more mobile than the heavy ballista. So maybe this could be used, yeah, again, maybe in like the defense of a castle, or in a maybe a mobile assault or something like that. So alright, so the final design we have is going to be a battering ram. This is definitely made more for a siege. So what we're going to start with is just using the 2 meter wood beams. I'm going to elevate them up right on top of each other, just like we have in the other ones. Just give the right spacing. I'm going to connect single meter beams to this top one just to give it support, and then remove out the bottom. And then I'm going to create a 3x2 structure on top. So I'll connect these to the ground here. And actually, so we don't need these middle ones because we have to be able to walk through the battering ram as a bit of a shelter. So we'll remove those. We will have just 1 meter beams on the end of each side. And then we'll have 2 meter beams up on each one of these connection points. And then we will use the 45-degree wood beams to bring it together to a point right there. From here, I like to use the shingled roof just because I think it looks nice, but obviously it might be a little bit more expensive with materials. But I will close it up with the shingled roof. Just add some beams here at the top. And then just reinforce some of the beams here with angled 26-degree beams. Alright, so there's our structure, but now we actually have to create the ram portion of the design. So what I do for this is I use 2 hanging braziers. So I hang them right here on the front and back. And then I place just a 1x1 wood floor on each of these. And I'll put a wood beam on each side. And then I'll place a 4-meter log beam right on top of it. And that actually will make the fire go out, which is helpful. Place another 4-meter beam. And then a 2-meter beam out the back. So that we have the log just feels like it's kind of hanging by these chains. And then for the actual ram on the front, I just use the wolf adornment. Oh, not there. And I'll just actually custom place it so that it'll be centered with the log. So yeah, that's the actual ram portion. We do want this to look mobile because it is mainly used to assault gatehouses and keeps and things like that. So I'll use 4 item stands on the crossing of all these connection points. And then place my round shield. So again, using the banded shields in this case. Yeah, so that'll just make it look a little bit more mobile. Another thing that I like to do, and it costs much more resources, but it actually makes it look a little bit nicer, is that, so I like to place some beams here across. And then I actually also like to decorate it with some tower shields. So we can maybe do 5 on each side. And this just makes it look more armored. Place 5 stands here. 5 item stands on this side as well. And then I have 10 tower shields ready to go. Just hang them on the sides here. And then we'll do the same to the other side. Alright, yeah, and so that just gives it a much more armored look. It's a little bit more detail and decoration. It does cost quite a bit more materials, but a nice addition if you're willing to grind the materials or just spawn them in. But yeah, so there you have it. This is the the Battering Ram. I really like this design. I think it's really compelling and a nice addition if you're trying to do a siege scene like I did in my previous build. Alright guys, so there we have it. 5 different designs for siege machines that you can incorporate into your build. So again, not functional obviously, but I think they make nice decorative additions if you're building castles or maybe like a siege scene or something like that. So hopefully you guys took some inspiration from this. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.